Can you see the presentation?
Hello, yes I can.
Oh, great, okay. Yeah, we're doing 6.4 risk management. First of all, I've just brought up Bloom's taxonomy, because obviously I don't know, like, patronise you in any way, but it's just got the different things, because obviously when other people listen to it, it's got like apply, analyse, evaluate, it's just got a little justification, you know, at the side in case the learning outcomes are using different terminology.
Fine.
So just thought I'd put that up. The aim is to understand how business risk is managed, and the first learning outcome is analyse the main drivers of business risk. So I've put the drivers into headings. So basically you've got the strategic, can't get my words out today, sorry, operational, financial, compliance and environmental. So obviously we've got different drivers from different domains. So we firstly go to the strategic. So on this one, obviously you can read the slide. It's a process formed by management for identifying, assessing, managing risks and uncertainties affected by internal and external environment, which may affect the organisation's ability to achieve its objectives. So within this, you could talk about the management styles, whether the management is like from the top to down, so therefore they don't really know what's happening on the shop floor. Is there any barriers with that? Have you identified any issues where it could be placed in that domain?
Yep.
Yeah, do you understand that one? So basically at a level 7, because it's a level 7, you need to link theory into that. So, I mean, there's lots of manager theories to back up exactly what you're saying with the references. Yeah.
As I said, yeah, I mean, I have experience both in general practice and also in care home management, and yes, I do.
So yeah, because you might say that you've witnessed that within managers. That's the way that it's happened within that organisation. So you might write a paragraph because you feel it's actually come from there. But if you speak about all the different domains, it may be more come across more evident in one area more than the other, or it might run through all the domains. Because yeah.
I've certainly had a big argument recently about how the management of the accident book at work, and
right.
I went into the I thought, well, how much of it is law and how much of it is policy, and I went into my brain's not working very well this morning. It's something like the Social Care Act or something like this, which is a funny kind of law to be stating accident books, but in fact it doesn't say that an accident book is a law, or it does accept even a verbal handover. Of course, it's true that many companies do fire instantly anyone who doesn't complete the accident book within 24 hours, but that's not a term of law, is it? It's a term of policy.
No, but yeah, it is. Well, law, legislation, and then policies in your practice. So it would come down to a safeguarding concern, because if you didn't, it could go under another legislation, even though the initial thing wasn't that. So, for example, if it's in your policy that you keep the accident book, it's also linked to safeguarding, because if anything happened to that individual and they was out of your care, when they was in your care, you had a duty of care to protect them.
Well, yes, I completely agree, and also the need for adequate staff training, such as manual handling, regulations, MOHOR, and Section 9 of Health and Safety at Work. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well, we'll go through all of them, because like you're coming up with different ideas, they can all fall into these domains, and it'll help you speak about each one, because you've got like 4 examples, which is great. So you've got like the operational risk arise from various operational and administrative procedures that business uses to implement its strategy. Operational risk is the prospect of loss resulting in adequate or failed procedures, like what you just said, systems or policies, which you've obviously just spoke about before, the accident book. But this is going on to fraud, other criminal activity or events that disrupts the business process. So an example there could even be something as simple as, do you have cash in there? Do you have petty cash? If somebody takes that petty cash, then obviously it's a criminal offence. There'll be other things that you can talk about in there, what's happened in your business or what you've seen in your line of work. Although the lights are going off in here.
Yes, I suppose fraud
sorry.
activities, you'd hope that wouldn't happen, but I think there's also a lot of, there's a lot of data protection law, isn't there? Because data protection isn't just subject to access requests. It's,
that's it.
Safe handling of data, so that things shouldn't be things shouldn't be they shouldn't just be, they should be handled safely, and they should be.
Yeah, that is one that I wrote down as well about the Data Protection Act. Financial risk arise from financial structure of the business, from transactions with a third party, and from financial systems in place. So it could be that it's under threat of financial loss in the fact that is the business owned by a third party? Can it be a risk? Can financial actually be a risk for it? Could it be the fact that who's funding your home is actually the service users? If it's a care home, what about if they moved? What about if they wasn't in care? How many do you need to earn money? You know, what would the implications be financially if you had no service users?
Yeah.
So that's that question. And then compliance risks arise from the necessity to ensure compliance within laws, formal society expectations, health and safety risks, sometimes straightforward, can be considered as a subject of compliance or operational risk. But in many industries, health and safety are key areas, like what you've just spoke about. So, for an example, are staff adhering to policies? If they don't, are there any safeguarding concerns? Like you spoke about before about the accident book, what is potentially going to happen? It's them sort of questions that you need to be writing down. Even if it's, do you have the right health and social material? If you was moving a service user from the bed, if you've got all the right resources, or do you need more resources? That would address that one. Do you have any questions on that one?
No, I think it was just. I mean, no, it's interesting to see that that some aspects like health and safety are actually in more than one category at once.
Yeah, you can put them into different domains.
Any other things apart from health and safety that are in more than one category? Yeah,
or it's even like you can get you can take one key area and you could link them through to show that even though it might be a financial thing, how even finance can link to policy, how finance can link to something being like compliance, how like one theme could run through all of them. You don't have to take different themes, but you can take different themes if you don't feel one theme fits, you know, to speak about. And then you've got environmental factors. Environmental risk can be relatively routine and covered under compliance, but in many businesses there are large major requiring separation consideration. So within that, it could be the fact that well, compliance is again linking to your law, linking to regulations. Could environmental factors pose a risk? Well, they could if it was financial, because even though it's linking in financial, again, it's like Brexit, for example. Is it putting cuts on local authorities, on the council? How is that? How does the environment impact a risk on your business. Yeah, so that's just more or less the questions that you need to be asking yourself and writing down to address that first learning outcome.
I mean, we see things like the head of pharmaceutical development in Europe moving out of Britain because of Brexit.
Yeah, well, that says it all. Yeah, that is just such a large business, though, the pharmaceutical companies. And when you really read into some of the readings, like GPs are getting paid for giving out medication, so it's like in their best interest to give it out from a business perspective, but how ethical is it to the patients that they're actually getting paid? And then there was the guy on the news who, did you hear about him, that he was saying that patients had breast cancer and they removed the breast and they actually didn't, he just wanted more money.
Yes.
So you can see how like corrupt it can be. The next learning outcome is 3.2. It says appraise the impact of different types of risks for a business organisation. So obviously we spoke about the different ones from like the operational, the financial, compliance and environmental. So link the findings to the company's reputation. If these went ahead, these risks, exactly what would happen in terms of the law, in terms of legislation, in terms of policy. So if it was identified that compliance was a factor, then what could happen to the business? Would it be that they'd be in breach of the law because there's certain people in breach of their own policies, and then the legislation which has actually been passed through the law. So it's just showing that you understand the impacts for the business, which in turn may affect a financial loss for the business or even the business's reputation. Turning over. And then the last learning outcome is assess which business area are at high risks in terms of data, reputation, financial theft, just the things that we've actually spoke about. So like you were saying before about data protection, so if you was working in a health and social care setting, is data at high risk? Is it confidential? Because obviously it needs to be confidential to the patients. What would actually happen if that data got stolen? So you could link in there obviously about confidentiality, you could link in the Data Protection Act, you could even link in the police, because I've worked with sex offenders before, and obviously that's like, if somebody got hold of that information, it's society as well, because they could react thinking, oh, well, they know where sex offenders live. It's very high risk if that information wasn't kept confidential.
Absolutely.
And then the next one is analyze risk management strategies. I've just gone right to the bottom. So for the strategies, you've got employment practices, fraud protection measures, health and safety policies, protection of physical assets and the business, product management, benchmarking, disaster management. So within this, you need to talk about what is put in place within your business in terms of risk management, the strategies, what do they look like? So like your policies again, what measures, the security systems. So like if you're trying to keep something confidential, how are you actually doing that? What is put in place? So you've got like health and safety policies, like you've got your accident books. Policies must be adhered to. What happens if they're not adhered to? And go on, sorry.
Disaster management is an interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you sort of like go on, sorry. Were you going to say something?
I was reading. I mean, we've had the snow as well, and it's interesting in Sweden because they have snow so much more than us, and they insist that a care home has 3 independent heating systems, like for example, gas, electric, and oil, or something, at least 3 out of the 4, so that if they, my fear was we have lights. There are lights that go if there's a prolonged power cut.
Yeah.
It can be absolutely catastrophic in a large home during a power cut. Now we have lights that come on. Apparently they come on automatically. We don't have a backup generator, but it comes on automatically. And but apparently they only last for a few hours. And I thought the night could go by, and some of these battery lights may end up going off.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see like what the policy is with like the companies and like the gas and electric policy, because maybe if they go off after a couple of hours, as it's supposed to be that they're there within that time scale, maybe that's why they've only got that much backup. But even like if you was taking that further, it's like, even though you're talking about like gas and stuff like that, when these prices go up, think about like the old people that are at home, older people that can't afford these prices, then, isn't it government's responsibility to, ensure that everyone has a good quality of life? Or does it actually really behind the scenes, is the government, I know this is an absolutely out there, indirectly discriminating and absolutely like trying to kill older people, but indirectly in like a demographic trend sort of way? Because if prices are going up, it's going to affect vulnerable people.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that is actually, we've gone through all the learning outcomes really fast, to be honest. But if you have any questions, you can, like, we've got quite a lot of time, so you can.
Well, there's a slide. There's a few slides. There's one that says plenary just down at the bottom left. Have we missed anything off there? We're up to 16, aren't we? Hello? 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 I've lost.
Hello? Hello? No, he's gone, but I'll email him.
Yeah. My internet's totally gone.
Well, this, I think it is actually back on, but it's just you've gone for... Yeah, this just went off. I just said something like, do you have any questions and everything, and then he's gone. Well, the computer just went off and now he's not there, so I don't know what's happened. I hope that the first session was recorded. I'm not sure if it was. Go and check the recording. How do you do that? This is a recording. I think it was.
English?
Yes,
Did you know?
how to check the recording? Can we check if the first recording went on?
It will be on Join Me.
So this is.
It should be up on there.
What's wrong? Can you help us?
Yeah.
Sorry. We don't really know what we're doing. I don't even know what to press on there. Batman's set me up, you see, so I don't really.
Okay, so what you want to do is I tend to check online. So you'd go on to. Hopefully it did go up, but I'm just looking for. Okay, sorry.
I bet Batman would put it on the card for me.
You probably did, but we'll just double check anyway.
It should be about 18 minutes, I'd say.
Okay. Well, if it didn't go on, you probably will have to re-record it just to pop it up there. But I mean, the person who attended got it.
Yeah, he did.
If it's not on recording, just record another one quickly. We just go through your slides if that's all right.
Yeah.
I
How fast does it upload to that after recording?
think it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
No good.
I'm not still on record, are we?
I don't think so. Do you turn it off?
No. Try to go back on there in case he was still there.
Oh, if it is, we'll just delete it. It's just going, is it recording? So, recordings, and then that is not it, is it?
No.
Okay, it probably wasn't recording then, unfortunately. Because that's the latest one on there. So yeah, it didn't record. So what I would advise is just go through and do a really quick kind of run through the.
I can't believe it's not recorded. Does it not take a couple of minutes now? Is it instant?
It might do, but I honestly wouldn't know. I think it went on pretty instantly last time I checked.
Because this one ain't on stop, this one, because that's recording now instead.
And should we have a look?
Yeah, see if it's stopped. Yes. Yeah, record. Look, stop loading.
Where?
Down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.